Hey guys, just wanted to film a trade recap on my position on GA. I basically took a position on a short on this. So basically, I was forecasting on my Sunday market breakdown. Basically, I was looking at this as a potential reversal point. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed at this point. We- Obviously, I don't really think that price is going to pull back all the way down here. It's possible, but I was really looking for some rejection, which we got. I was able to bank a little bit of profit on that, which is nice. Perhaps maybe it could be contemplated that was a bit aggressive with the management. However, if we are going to be making a particular move, and this is the daily chart, even down to this area, there's definitely an abundance of opportunity here. So I'm not really too concerned about that. As well as it was really nice that we had this sort of high test. We had this pin bar at the very top, which is really nice. So having that candlestick was a little bit extra confirmation at the end of the day that we could be continuing in that direction. It's not really always guaranteed, but it's always good to have those extra confluences. We came up pretty sharply. We corrected ever so slightly and then came back up. So, I was basically looking at this. If this is going to go down, this would be a great area to be getting involved in. I then was able to zoom down on a lower time frame here, and once by doing that, I was able to see on the daily that price has basically slowed down in momentum after we had that. So what happened was we came up, we rejected, but we didn't quite get to that point on the higher time frame. We slowly made our way back up and then rejected and made our way back down here. Now, looking at it like this, it definitely does look like it has that potential to come up for that third touch. However, what I was actually looking at before this was essentially this. So before we had any of this on the charts, essentially I was just forecasting essentially breaking above this high here, going up and then coming back down, creating a flag, and then maybe coming down like this. So we didn't quite get that, but this is what we did get, and it's not so bad. So over here, when we did have that high test, this was something of interest to myself. So I was monitoring this fairly carefully. I saw that price was slowly correctively coming here and then monitoring, and then as we had that push up, this is when my well, luckily I was by the screens, but my alerts went off and I was basically alerted that I should be checking the chart. So at this point here, I did see that we did come up for the break, but I just wanted to see how we reacted on that break. So but I just drilled down ever so slightly to the 15-minute, and then I saw some level of rejection at that point. That rejection wasn't really enough for me to take the trade, I'll be honest with you. I was more so looking for something to give me extra, a little bit, something a little bit extra for me to get into this trade, because we could simply just trickle like this, and then there's no guarantee that this is the point of coming back down. So I then kind of just drilled down on 5 minutes. I was looking for some sort of entry, and I saw that if we are going to be creating a flag, there could potentially be a flag over here. So at this point here, I waited in anticipation to just see how price developed, and I believe it was at this candle here where I realized that I wasn't fully prepared. So I had to quickly go back over all of my criterias, had to make sure that if I'm going to be taking a trade, that this is a good trade. So I sat there for a good few minutes during this period here, just contemplating, and I had to quickly rush to make sure that my 1% risk was calculated properly. I basically looked at the variations of what price could do, so that if I was tagged out, I wouldn't have to spend a lot of time thinking about what could potentially form next, etc. Went through all of that criteria. Once I was able to do that, I think a couple minutes passed and we was about here. This is where I set my position. My position was literally set on bang on there, and for me it was okay. I could essentially said it was a bit too late, but the reason why I set it over here was at this point we didn't really have a guarantee that this was the bottom. And even so here, I mean, this could have developed further, but I thought, you know, if it does come up, it could come up here before it comes down and then sells off. So I would still leave myself a little bit protected. This is 40 pips, so it is a fairly large stop loss. However, I think given the position, I think it wasn't so bad at the time because 40 pips kept me well protected, and for the risk reward, I think definitely to this low here, I'm looking at roughly around about 4.25%, and then to the low, I'm looking at roughly 8.2%. So that was something that I was definitely keeping in mind. I then furthermore was able to just further manage this, so I will play this onwards. And fortunately for myself, price committed. At this point, I was contemplating locking in break even, but I didn't have any real supporting structure for myself. I think I was running 1%, but I was a little bit lenient, and I thought, okay, I'm going to leave my risk open. And I basically moved my stop about halfway, so I had 0.5% risk on the table at this point. I didn't lock in the break even. And then as we went on, price did continue to trickle, and I think I basically set it, left it, and I think at this point here I was on a break even. And then how my management was basically had my position about locked in around about here, about 0.45. Managed it, and then I think there was a somewhat of a pullback around here, and here we go. So there was another trade in there, to be honest. I didn't quite catch this, but it wasn't really something that really jumped out to me, so I kind of didn't really get involved. I guess, you know, that there was some level of criteria in there, but it wasn't really a trade that I would take. However, this trade here was one that I eyed up this morning, and I really did like this trade. I thought the context behind it was really nice, but unfortunately, just out of sort of, let's just say, what I already had the skin in the game, so I kind of didn't want to take another position, and I was essentially looking at it like this, and then wanted to see this just, you know, pretty much create some sort of flag in this zone. And I was just monitoring it like that. So we'll play this out so slightly, and I think it came in like this, and I think if I was to take the position, I would have taken the position here, and I would have taken this with roughly around about 30 pip stop, and I would have taken the position there, but unfortunately I didn't, and then it did actually happen to sell off, which is great. I could have banked myself a few more percentage here, which is great, but to be honest, I'm not really bothered about that. It's just nice when you see these structures forming as it goes on. And then at this point here, I think I became a little bit more aggressive with my management, and I locked in a little bit more. I did keep my stop loss just above here for a fair while, so I had only 1.32 locked in, even though I was running around about 4.79. Reason being is because we are so high up in structure, if we are going to be selling off, I don't want a little bit of volatility just take me out. I don't want to be too aggressive at this point, so I guess, you know, being a little bit more aggressive would be beneficial. And I think as price committed even further at this point here, I just changed my mind, and you know, I just kind of decided if I am actually just going to be in here, let me just lock in a little bit more, and I had it overall 2.4% locked in, just above this support structure here. Nothing of any major significance, managing on the 1 hour as well, and then held through this, and I think price did eventually pull up, and then I think towards the end I had my management just about roughly, I think it was around about here, and you know, I am expecting potentially price to do two things now. In no means does it have to do this, but you know, one of the reasons why I'm more than happy to be out of the market is because this could potentially be a game plan right now. So if price is gonna do anything, what I don't want to do is be in the market here for myself to be taken out roughly, let's just call that, so hide this, get rid of this override, remove these, and let's just call it here, and say if price does come up and tags me in here and comes out, I don't want to be stuck in that, or if it comes in here and then sells off. So kind of just being aware of those situations right now. I'm more than happy to stay out of the market and basically just weigh up my options and, you know, just essentially see if, you know, if there's another structure that forms, would I stay into the market or would I get out of the market, those sort of things really. And I think right now I'm more than happy to wait in anticipation for this trade, because looking at some of the other GBP pairs, it looks like a similar sort of structure is forming. We could either get a larger middle section here, or we could actually come in for this section where we meet up with this top override area and we come in with a 1, 2, 3, and then potentially we might see a sell-off there. So, you know, I think there's some better trades shaping up on the markets at the moment. I don't think I want to just stay into this trade and then potentially take a break even. Rather be happy with locking in profit. Overall, I did lock in, I believe, let me just double check that. I locked in around about 3.67%. So 3.67% on that position there. It was a yesterday position, so, you know, holding it for one day. I got in on the 17th and I was out by the 18th. So no problem at all really. And yeah, that's basically it for my GBP Aussie trade.